Yes, get up here on the board.
Okay,
22-1.
Yeah.
it's 6 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. We have a quorum.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just come to you this evening, Lord. We just ask that you be with us, Lord, and help guide us to make the best decisions possible for the district. Lord, I ask that you be with all of our staff and all of our students and keep them safe and healthy throughout the remainder of the year. Lord, we just ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay. We have no guests tonight, so everybody signed up for open forum, so we'll move to new business. Consent agenda.
Yes, in the consent agenda, this was a deed we'd already presented and approved, but the county refused it. They don't take bids, I guess, for under $250, so that we had to resubmit another deed request for the current amount of $250, I guess. That's really all on the consent agenda.
Have a recommendation, I have a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Motion by Doug, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Chad, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, moving on to the regular agenda. Discuss and possible action on budget amendment for the 2025-2026 budget.
Okay, so this is the big August budget amendment that we're gonna do where we've moved over accruals. The good news is that there was enough built in the budget that we could actually move from transportation and the tech department to cover the overages in the other areas. So we're having to move 140,000 into function 11 for the accruals of the salaries. Really, I looked through there and that is what it was that was over. In function 23, which is going to be the campus administration, and it was for accruals, and then the principals, there was some software that we had budgeted for $550 and it was $600. So that's the reason that we're pushed over in function 23. And we're moving 55,000 into function 36, which is the co-curricular. And the reason that we're doing that is the salary overages. There was a lot probably from summer workouts. There are no accruals in this account, so it's strictly work or stipends. And then also they got the football shoot, which we had kind of talked to y'all about that there was going to be an amendment coming up, but we were kind of waiting to see where we were going to be at the very end. And then the wrestling startup, we had to order a mat, and then we ended up having to order another mat. And then they had to get the uniforms and then things for that. And then we also bought a volleyball net. So that is the reason for the overage in 36. And then in 51, which is plant maintenance, the salary overage on that is due to probably the projects that they've had to do and do extra duty overtime. If they come up and work on a Saturday on the water leak, we're not going to tell them they have to do it for free. So there was that, and then the project budget went over, and that was due to fence, some of the press box modifications, and then the metal around the bleachers. And so we're gonna be taking $247,500 out of transportation, which is still going to leave it with a positive balance over 100,000, I think, in that. And then in 34, we're gonna be taking from tech the 13,843.92, and we're moving that to function 240, which is the food service. And that really is for accruals because we had already budgeted the deficit in the budget last year. that's not something that has to be brought to y'all because y'all were aware that we had already set this money aside. And so when we moved that over, it covered it. So that was the good news on that. So we do have the budget amendment for the general operating and then the food services left. Any questions?
Could any of that out of 51, is any of that bond or no? Is any of that with, you know, what we've got listed as bond? Like what they did, none of it is considered.
No. Because of where we are and we don't know what may pop up because we've had other things pop up and we've used that money out of the bond to pay for those, we just felt like we just needed to take it out of general operating. And when I talk about our finances here for this last year, I think you'll be okay with having to, I mean, cause that money was budgeted in transportation, and so we're just moving it from one function to another, and that's why we have to bring it to you. And it's not gonna hit our fund balance, if that makes you feel any better.
We have to make sure we do what we said we were gonna do in the bond.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't say that we were gonna do press box modifications, change the fence around the football field. Those were all things that came up after we had this part look good, so we wanna make this look good to make it match, so.
Well, and when we were looking at the bond, I think we had about a $90,000 contingency in this last, and there's been so many little things pop up. We're at about a 20,000 left, and we're close to being done, but we're not quite done, and so we want to make sure we have the wiggle room in case something pops up for Van Hall or whatnot. But
I thought we were getting wrestling mats donated.
well, that fell through.
Clear.
Yeah, it did. So.
Well, I just remember on the bond, there was some, you know, maintenance in it. I just didn't remember
Yeah.
what was in it.
Yeah, when we had to take out more walls in the hallways than we thought we were gonna have to and all of that, and we, did it the right way. That was expensive and the contingency really started dropping, and so.
And if you wanna know how much it costs for the rest of them, I mean, I have numbers, I can look them up if you want. I could give you a
We
number,
need the mats one way or another.
yeah.
Yeah. I think
And that's,
they were
they bought the
8,000.
one mat, and after they had the camp with the kids, they said there's no way we can get 30 possible kids on one mat, and so that was the reasoning for buying another one.
They were what, I think $8,000 a mat, wrestling mat.
So,
I was pretty happy though that the money was there in the budget. We didn't actually exceed our budget. We tried to be really pretty cautious about what we spend on. I know people are tired of hearing me say no money.
What color mats do we end up with?
What type of mat?
What color?
Oh,
You can tell me what type. It's wrestling mats, all I know.
we ended up with a royal blue with white trim. And then part of the 10,000 that you guys allotted us, we were able to get a secondary mat with the singlets, the headgear, all that stuff. That'll give us even more room. Cause after we did the little kids camp, we realized we didn't have enough room. So.
Cool. Is there any more questions? Concerns? Not, I have a motion.
I move to approve the budget amendments as presented.
Motion by Doug, do I have a second? Second. Second by Chad. Scott. Second by John. All in favor? None opposed, motion. Okay, discussing possible action to adopt the budget for the 2026-2027 fiscal.
Okay, so I updated the book, I gave it to y'all and gave it to you in color this time. That way you can see the differences. The key things I want to talk on are the functions. I can tell you, yes, I had to adjust, and I told you I was gonna be making adjustments. So in function 11, we increased it, but we increased it like $13.71. Function 12, it was increased, that's where the one I presented to you on 8.5 didn't have Lacey Higher's salary in there because she was still coded to 11. So her salary is now in there and that's what the increase, so it increased 21,931.61. And the 13 function decreased 2,763.83. The school leadership function 23, there was no change. In the counseling, there was a change, it increased 20,819.56. And health services, no change. Transportation, no change. Food service, I did have to go in there and put the on behalfs, so it increased because I don't think it was in there when I presented it to you on 8.5. On 36, it increased 51,983.71. The reason that there was such a huge increase in that is because I did go ahead and budget a little bit more for summer workouts and stipends, some of the stipends that maybe weren't budgeted last year. So that's the huge increase on that one. 41, general admin, there was no change. In 51, plant maintenance, I did decrease it 29,711.29. Security, we decreased it 35,904.08. In data, the tech, we increased it 3,300. And this 881, it's a construction. No, we're not having construction, but this is the land that Miss Searles is in talk with about we haven't paid for it yet. And so we just went ahead and budgeted it for this coming year. That way it's in there. So there won't be any amendments for that. And so that's what 81 is, and that's a new function. So of course, there's an increase of $11,000 in that. We did 11,000 simply because who knows? You have to do this, like she got into it, she had to get it surveyed, she had to do different things. We just wanted to cover if there was any service fees or any of that. 93 increase, that's the payment to the co-op. And honestly, that's not their number, that's Courtney taking what we paid last year and adding 5% because we haven't been presented with our number for the co-op yet. She's working on it and she hopes to have it by September 3rd. I said, okay, well, that doesn't help. So, and then on 99, I did go ahead and that's to the appraisal districts. We had 36.5 and I thought I'll just round it up to 37,000 just to make sure. So overall, yes, we're still passing a deficit budget. It is gonna be 227,442 for the general operating. That's what the deficit is. I know y'all were kind of you weren't on the fence about the 100 that we were looking at deficit, the 150. But I really think that we're gonna be okay. And when I give you the numbers that we're ending with this year, I think you'll be okay with it as well. And I know Ms. Searles has talked to superintendents in the area and they're all passing a deficit budget and ours is the lowest.
When are we gonna get the numbers on last year's budget?
I'm gonna talk about them tonight.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a rough estimate, but it all comes down to when Mr. Kyle comes and presents the audit. But judging by the numbers that we had last year at the end and what he presented to y'all during the audit, they were spot on.
And this is based on 650.88,
Yes,
and we're setting at 670 something right now.
Yes, that's all right. Yeah, 676.36. Yes, we several of the superintendents I had a Zoom today and we talked and we're proposing the smallest deficit budget. There was a $1.1 million deficit budget, somebody's 676. Several of us are right around the 2.
and last year we put in 1.4 million into fund balance.
I don't have a problem with it, I just don't want it to be a trend.
Well, do you want to tell them the rest of the news? About where we're probably gonna,
I can do that in the budget if you,
I think it might help them feel a little more comfortable.
Okay, so the number that we're looking at possibly putting into fund balance this year is 1.6 million. 604,684 is what we're looking at, possibly what we're gonna put into fund balance for this year. So last year and this year, we've put 3 million into our fund balance.
Of course, we're being cautious and wanna wait and hear our audit, but the reason is she budgeted, our budget was around 11 million, 11 something, and our revenue was 13.
13 million, yeah.
So, I mean, we're trying to be cautious and we budgeted cautiously, but we got,
So in
showing.
the grand scheme of things, all the stuff that we did outside the bond is just pulling $200,000 out of the fund balance. today.
It's not even pulling it out of the fund balance
Well,
because
I
of
know,
the
but
budget,
that-
yeah.
Just in
Yes.
general,
Yes.
that's an easy way to think about it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. If we didn't have to move it to spend it in the other places,
Right,
that would
yeah.
be going back in, yes.
Mhm.
What did we end up with ADA, like, what the state said? Or when did they give you that number?
I can look on the report, the summary of finance, what they're basing it on.
Of course, we all wanna see the next audit to see what that real number back into the balance is, but
Yeah.
we're optimistic.
As long as it's growing, it's not going down.
Right. Exactly.
Like, it's for no reason.
It's real hard to continue on if you have no money.
Right.
I asked Kim today if there's a certain point at which the state starts looking at your fund balance. We know why you're not spending money.
We're just like 18.
So we looked it up and, what they do look at is you have to have 75 days worth of operating expenses in your fund balance, which is around a little over 2 million for us. And so it does say there's not a cap that you can keep in your fund balance, but they do start questioning if you're putting too much in, then are they generating too much funds for you? So we will want to.
It's just like any other budget anywhere else.
Yes.
If you don't use it, they're gonna take it away.
Yeah,
from
so
you.
we do, I mean, once we get our audit, if we are putting this money in, we are gonna have to spend some money.
Well, if you don't,
It's a good problem.
if you don't spend it, taxpayers gonna wonder where you're taxing.
They are,
Yeah.
they are.
So what they based it on the summary of finance for 25-26 is 658.099 was our refined average daily attendance.
Everything you're on the money, Rich.
Mhm.
I'm good.
We feel pretty comfortable, We don't wanna be too comfortable, but.
Yeah.
I didn't turn cart bills, but I jumped.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Well, it's always exciting when they don't say it's a lot worse than we know it is, so.
Right.
Well, and you have to wait and see how bad it is.
Yeah, exactly, when they decide to put their numbers to it.
Right.
So that's on the general operating. I did increase also what we will be taking out of general operating to put into food service. I increased it to 57,512.05. And that's just so in the 240 budget, based on what we Magic 8 Ball guess we're gonna get in revenue versus our expenditures, just so we have a balanced budget in 240. And that budget is going to be 457,1205. And then in the debt service, the budget for that is going to be 947,344. Just so I presented all three budgets to you all.
I do feel good about the 57 especially for the cafeteria. Just because I know there's some school districts close to us that are smaller than us that are budgeting about 115 in that. Just because it's how much they're losing versus, so we're actually doing pretty good about getting our kids to pay their meals, even though it doesn't always look like that. And I'm hoping once the end of September gets here, we have a lot of free and reduced. The free and reduced numbers have been increased, so we're gonna keep pushing out, getting those apps in and maybe those gift cards are gonna help. Get some stuff qualified, but I'm more than willing to try anything to help with that too.
And Jaden did really well last year, trying to
Jaden,
keep
Yes.
track of what she was spending, so she wasn't like just spending an exuberant amount of money
No.
and having waste.
And we do have a cafeteria audit this year, and so they're gonna help her, and if there's anything else they can do to help us figure all that out, we'll work on that too.
When are they supposed to have the, applications back, to be entered in the,
September 30th.
so they have until September 30th?
Yes. We wanted to give a little bit of time because, anybody that was eligible at the end of last year, they have a 30-day grace period, so they're automatically eligible. And so some of them will start feeling those charges coming here, once the 30 days is up. And so that gives them a little extra time beyond that to get those applications in. Because they're not always motivated if they're getting them free already. But then when that free period runs out after 30 days and the charges start accruing, maybe that will push another notice out to get that filled in and try to get a gift card and,
Get some more advertising out there that,
yes.
you get entered in the gift cards whether you, qualify or
Yeah, you don't
not.
have to qualify, you just fill the app out, but that helps us as a district. And then, especially those kiddos that are getting that dual credit tuition, I mean, that's a huge deal for high school kids, free tuition to help build their futures.
Sounds good.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or concerns? Okay, if not, I have a motion.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the resolution adopting the Sanford Bridge ISD 26-27 official budget at the major functional level for general operating fund 199 of $11,636,660.70. Food service 240, $457,012.05. And debt service 599, $947,003.
Okay, any else want to have to reword that motion, make sure that everybody.
I just did it.
That was good.
That's what I have here.
That was impressive.
Okay, all right, I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Doug, all in favor? None opposed, motion passes. I will move to discuss possible action to set a 2026-2027 tax rate.
So the tax rate that was presented to you is $1.207800, which will be a 0.737600 for the maintenance and operational, and a 0.47020 for the INS, the debt service.
That is a decrease from this year.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to say it's a decrease, 1.56% decrease from the previous year.
Exactly.
So, we did decrease taxes, how many people can say that?
Right.
We did.
We haven't raised it in 5 years, I've been.
And me and Courtney's talking before the meeting, we could decrease it some more, but we gotta be careful with the IDS on that, because she explained it to me, I'll let her explain it to y'all.
If you wanted to lower it even more, the suggestion would be in the INS, you could lower it to, I don't know, 0.45, blah, blah, blah. The only thing with lowering it, like, the funding from the state is different on your debt each year, and then if you have to come back and raise it next year, how many friends are you gonna make?
Yeah.
And you don't really wanna lower your maintenance and operation, you wanna try to keep it as high as possible, because that is what goes into your M&O. That's where your general operating budget comes from. And when it gets compressed every year, unfortunately, so the state lowers it for us. And so if you go lower than what they actually recommend, trying to get it back up will be next to impossible, because if you lower it, just know that that's the rate they're gonna compress the next year.
Just continue down. Okay, do I have any questions or concerns about this? If not, I have a motion.
I'll move to approve the tax rate for the 2026-2027 fiscal year as presented.
A motion by Doug, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Logan, all in favor? None opposed, motion passes. Okay, moving to district report.
And since I've already talked about it, I don't need to talk about it unless y'all have questions.
Jennifer, have anything?
No, shouldn't have any. I will say, we did get information back about our, accountability scores for junior high, and they were better than we were expecting. So we're not actually gonna be in full-fledged school improvement. We are gonna have to write a plan, which Janet, we told y'all, Jennifer, Christie, and I've already met. We've already implemented a lot of things, and Region 16 is pretty excited about some of the things we're doing. And so, I mean, scores aren't great. I'm not saying they're great, but they weren't as bad as they could have been, and we actually got some distinctions. One at high school for our college, career, military, and then one at elementary school for the amount of. We were in the top 25% of growth in schools in Texas, and so we're pretty positive with what we've got going on at junior high. We're going to make those scores come up really hard. We've got some great new staff on our junior high campus, and we're pretty excited about what they're going to be bringing. So I think that's gonna feed into what we're doing. Yes, so that's really all, and she'll get more into the data when she'll have to present all of it, but we're pretty excited about some things that are gonna come out of what we're doing.
Mr. Garrison doesn't have any news?
He does not, he's not heard anything.
Never mind.
You know, and I will tell you this too, thought we were gonna have some exciting news for y'all, because I found a grant through Excel Energy, and it was about, we're doing these updates, and it's supposed to be some sort of we thought it was kickbacks about, for the, energy efficient things, and so we filled the grant out. The architecture and the construction company helped us, some people came out and looked through all the things, and got a letter yesterday, and we're like, oh my gosh, are we gonna get, because it says like we're up for a rebate of $430,000 by this paperwork. It goes to the construction company and not us. Since we don't pay taxes, it's a tax rebate, it's a tax cut.
Well, I think they were helping you out then.
Well, they've never dealt with it before,
Yeah.
but when we sent them the paperwork today, they're like, well, that's exciting. So we're hoping they'll cut us a break on something
Yeah.
for what we did for them, but I was like, I was bummed. I thought it was gonna be for us and not for them.
Yeah, right.
So we're trying to get all these things, but that just didn't work out in our favor, not yet. But no, he has not heard from the grant yet. No, we're hoping. And then all I had to add, I threw in our current numbers. We're low in kinder. We do have some kiddos that want to come in for a transfer, but they have siblings in grades that we're full in, and most parents aren't willing to separate kids from one grade to the next. So we're still trying to actively get our kinder numbers up, fourth and third grade numbers up. Junior high's a little low, but they moved a freshman class up of 60, so that helps with the numbers. Be a little lower, but we're still at 702, and we're not losing. We lost kids moving down south, not really to any neighboring districts other than maybe one or two. So I feel pretty good about where we're sitting at. We have a lot of interest in the district, but we're being picky about who we take, just because we want to continue to have quality students, and we want to make sure our classroom sizes are small, and I think that's an important value for our district. But
No pre-K's full.
pre-K is busting at the seams. So, and that's our biggest interest grade right now. And I've made so many people mad.
There's no room.
No, there's 18 per pre-K class.
There's no room.
No, and if you're in a pre-K room, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. I did put on here the new staff meet and greet. Just remember that at 5:30 on the first home game. We're gonna have pulled pork sandwiches in here, just like we've done before, and then encourage everybody to go watch our home game. And then I am meeting we're closing on the lots with, Mr. Carlin on September 9th at 9 AM is the date. I've got the closing, amounts, and I've talked with our lawyer again today. She was clarifying some things that had came through on the deeds. There was a couple questions about some things that were from years ago. Rusty told me he remembered that, I guess, years ago, somebody moved a trailer in on one of these lots, and there was a restriction put on the deed, and anyway, we're just been clarifying some things, and he's gonna sign off on, he's gonna sign off on removing some restrictions on these lots, so just a few little fine tuning of some of the paperwork.
Somebody with a brand new couple lights, right there with on baseball practice field in the corner. They didn't sit there very long. It's restrictions.
Yeah, so, but, we're pretty much, I think, have everything ready to go to close for those lots on the 9th. And then if you can just try to power through and get the parental rights training,
Yes,
it's terrible, I'm not even gonna lie to you.
so we have the parental rights training and cyber.
The cybersecurity, you could get through that one pretty quick, but the most important one is parental rights. That one has to be done. Cybersecurity, we did double check again today. It could be done a little bit after, but it does have to be done in September.
They gonna fire us if we don't.
I don't know what they're gonna do, right? Take away your pay.
Yeah, did you hear her say it's
away.
5 hours? I mean, it's a 5 hours thing.
Yeah, it's actually 5 hours.
Yeah,
It's the parental rights.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, it's bad. It's-
And you have to pass it 100%
Yeah.
on each one.
I know, and I was skipping through and I had a couple of questions, so I had to go back and redo them.
I know, I was like, if she failed, oh.
Well, they're
I'm
super
not feeling
nitpicky,
positive
like I was saying, they're
about it.
super nitpicky, and they'll ask you questions about which Texas education code, is it 26A or whatever, I'm like,
11 was good.
yeah, 11, that was it.
Oh, see, y'all take
I bet
it.
the box.
Hey. How do you think I got through high school? I'll probably get
There's
later.
22 modules, you have to have 100 in each module.
Yeah.
All the way down.
You got 20 hours in already?
Out. Yeah.
Oh, and one other thing I was gonna let you guys know, so, our lovely legislative people think they, know more than schools about library books and all the things, so, one of our congressmen is gonna start holding superintendents criminally liable for library books in the school district that are, I guess, what he thinks are not appropriate. So, I'm going through all the library book lists, trying to clear out some things that may be not good. I have to talk to our lawyer because you also can't just remove library books without, other repercussions with civil rights, and then, there's other organizations, ACLU and some other people that go against you for taking away library books because it's against freedom of speech. So there's a fine line, but I'm actually flagging them. Any new library books though, there is a new state law. Library books that have to be proposed, they have to be posted on the website for 30 days, so parents have a chance to see what new library books are being, proposed. So I do have a list out there for elementary right now. Once the 30 days have passed, then I have to bring you guys the list to a board meeting, and you'll have to approve the purchase before we can purchase them. So,
How about Congress and Senate, just let the school board? do what they can.
right, so, anyway, I've been working on library book lists.
They just say you have to
That sounds
50% of the books on the list before you can prove it.
Who is it?
Paxton.
So anyway, if you see me in jail, it's because there was a naughty book on the library list.
We'll put some money together, we'll get you that.
So that's just something new about library books we'll be adding to our board meetings. I've got, like I said, the one list, so later, if we, depending on what the date is in September, then you may or may not be approving the list. Our librarians are checking those lists. They're kind of, once they get new requests, they're making sure they're appropriate before they send me the list to post, and then, so they're gonna help out with that. But just know that's something new.
Alrighty. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, we'll set a date for the next meeting. September. Do it early or mid or late? Anything you would have to be ready for? Need more time?
I won't present anything because we have to go through the month of September for me to get figures for September. I mean, if you want to kind of see how we are in the month, I would say the 23rd or the 30th. If you're wanting to see numbers possibly for, I mean,
I can't
get
do anything, I've got something scheduled.
Go back here. Anybody have a suggestion? No, that on the 23rd?
Yeah.
Is Wednesday still good for everybody, or?
Yeah, that works best for me. Okay, we'll set it for September 23rd, 6:00. That concludes all of our business. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Logan. All in favor? None opposed? Meeting's adjourned.